I'm back. It's Wednesday, and I'm here to do another Facebook Live. Here smiling, because I'm glad to be with you, but the subject that I'm speaking on is just not a lot of fun. I even heard yesterday from a local state representative here in the state of Georgia who's working on child trafficking, and heard some really, really disturbing news. The Super Bowl is about to start in Minneapolis, and you all there, my friend Nancy, that we are responsible for this page together. She lives there, and it's very exciting to have the Super Bowl, but with that come men expecting little girls and boys, I'm sure. And the circus will travel here next year. I guess that my friend tells me that I think we have the Super Bowl next year. And that's what happens, is they take it like a traveling circus. Of course, Atlanta is one of the worst places for child sex trafficking. It's really, really disturbing to hear about it. It's mostly, they took a field trip. It's mostly the foster care system, foster children who are being grabbed and sucked in. And it's really hard for them to get out. So, the situation is just so dire. How are we going to believe little kids when we don't believe full-grown adults? So that's what I want to talk about is Rose McGowan, who's on a book tour right now for her book, Brave. She is the whistleblower, I guess you'd have to call it. I'm sure she had a non-disclosure agreement, but she did go ahead and tell about what happened in 1997 at the Sundance Film Festival. That's when she was raped. And I saw her yesterday on The View. She's going to be on Nightline tonight. And she says that there's a lot of things people don't understand. For one thing, when you hear that a woman goes to a man's hotel room, she says, you have a certain idea of what that means. But she says the, presidential suite, wedding suite, whatever it is that someone like Harvey Weinstein would take is not a hotel room. It's a floor of a hotel. It's got 3 offices in it, and a large living room, or, it's not just that it opens up and there's beds. So she says she was the belle of the ball at that Sundance Festival because she had 4 films opening up that she was in. And when she was invited to him, his room, he's the king if you want to be in movies. Now I'm hearing words like Hollywood is a cult. And he actually called her after the rape, after she had told lots of people about it. And she couldn't believe that the phone rang and it was him. And he said, Gwyneth Paltrow is my special friend. And another woman, she wouldn't say the name. And now you're my new special friend. And she said, I don't know if she just hung up, if he hung up, but that she kind of slid down the wall and threw up on herself at that point, because the body knows the truth. The body responds. When you have to throw up, the body does it for you. You don't have to do anything. Since then, she says she's been slut-shamed, and she says we really have to be careful about what we say, like, well, you went to his room. Well, you were wearing a short skirt. I was also thinking about other people who are our heroes. I talked about Woody Allen, I think it was last week or the week before, and how he's one of my heroes. And it was a little different when I watched Sleeper the other day. And I used to just laugh hysterically at the Orgasmatron. Who remembers Sleeper from the 60s, 70s? A long time ago. I thought it was a perfect, brilliant movie, one of my all-time favorites. But this time when I saw him going into the Orgasmatron, and also he was supposed to be this robot, and he was, starting to kind of use his hands on the woman that was his owner, it was starting to look creepy. It was starting to not be so funny anymore. And I was thinking about how we give a pass to those people that are our heroes. And speaking of hotel rooms, I remember hearing about Kobe Bryant. Now, I'm not such a basketball fan. He's not necessarily one of my heroes, but he is to a lot of people. And, I don't know if he's the greatest ever, Michael Jordan, or whoever, there are statistics, but I guess Kobe is one of the greatest. And yet I heard the story about him going in, I don't know if Estes Park or somewhere in Colorado. He was at a hotel, and the woman working the desk, she's working the desk. You get to know the people that are at a hotel with you. And he invited her up to her room. So people say, well, you went to his room. What do you expect? What do you think he wanted you to come to his room for? And he did not get any kind of rape charges. There may still be some people that believe that he's guilty, but I heard her talk about it, and she said that he bent her over a chair and raped her, and I believe her. O.J. Simpson was a lot of people's hero to a lot of people. And the world, the country was kind of divided at that time along racial lines. He got off. I've heard stories about other people. I'm a Braves baseball fan. I've heard stories about Chipper Jones being a womanizer, and now I've read his book, and he was, and he admits it. He's sorry about it. He got married very young and wishes he hadn't, and now that he is with his second wife, I don't believe that he's doing that anymore. I believe him. I think I heard that Bobby Cox might have hit his wife once. They are some of my heroes. Do I give them a pass? Probably. Who do you give a pass to? Who do you choose to look the other way about and just not, you're just not sure if you can believe it or not? But I thought it was really interesting that Rose McGowan, and this is a picture of her. It's from the Person of the Year, the Time magazine, with the women on the cover as the people of the year. She was one of them. And she is the one who started the ball rolling until October 5th, when it came out, when the report came out about Harvey Weinstein. That's when people started believing again. But 1997, that's when it happened. That's when she told everybody. Her agent, I think it was, that she told, no, I might not have it right, but one of the women that she told started working for Harvey for the next 7 years. So she got paid off. And what about payoffs? What about the fact that she did get a settlement? So you're going to use that against her? She says that she used a lot of that for therapy. She, like I said, had a promising career. She was in 4 movies at Sundance that year. I don't know Rose McGowan. What she was told by some people, some lawyers were saying, hey, the Housewives of Hollywood will stand by you if you want to start this report and tell. But another woman who worked in a lawyer's office, I don't know if she was a lawyer or not, said to her, you know what? You were in a movie doing a sex scene. No one will believe you. You're finished in this town. You're through. You won't win. So she took the money because there was no other alternative. She used a lot of it for therapy. You need a lot of therapy when you go through something like this. It leaves you changed. You're not the same person. In fact, she claimed that it was like something dies inside. And the way she put it is that you need to actually go find that dead body inside of you. It's like a sickness or something rotten, and get it out of you. Well, I wouldn't call it a dead body, but I would call it something in your soul dies. The way the gymnasts put it, a lot of them were a lot of fun before that. They were happy kids. They lost their joy. And guess what? The person that also was the first one to tell, Rachel, the Hollander, she also told in 1997, Denhollander. So what is it about 1997? Isn't that interesting? 21 years before people would start listening. Well, you know what happened in the 90s? The False Memory Syndrome Foundation. They began to be the legal representative for rich families, men, usually men, let's say men, probably 99 point something percent. And if they had the money, she could testify for them that there was something called false memory syndrome. And she used supposed scientific validation that was never proven. There is no such thing as false memory syndrome in the DSM 3, 4, 5. It just doesn't exist. The American Psychiatric Association does not recognize it. In fact, Judith Herman, a respected author and sexual abuse therapist, says that there is going to be a 92 to 98% rate of, if you say that it happened, it happened. And there's actually no difference between memories that we continuously have, that we never repress, and repressed memories. There has not been found to be any difference between, how you get fuzzy. We get fuzzy in our memories, right? We remember it a certain way, and maybe somebody else who was there remembers it a little different. Or maybe they remember something we don't remember at all. Maybe when they say it, it starts coming back to us, but we're not even sure if we're making it up or not. Well, it's different when it's a repressed memory, because when it comes up in a different way. It comes up from a trigger. And then we continually get triggered within that same situation or word or whatever it was that came up. So what was beginning, because I started doing this work, healing sexual abuse survivors, in 1983. And there were some enormous leaps and bounds we were doing with trauma therapy back in the 80s and 90s. Well, we were probably some of the only people doing it in the 80s, but by the 90s it was starting to really roll and people were being believed. The False Memory Syndrome Foundation got started in 1992, and I'm not sure when it got debunked for sure. But there was like an arc of everybody believing and believing and believing, and then suddenly it went. And as soon as there was something to grab onto, that, oh, it's just false memory. And they were so good that they wrote papers, they litigated. There were court cases that, once there's a court case that says something, you can then use that court case for other court cases. And it began to infiltrate news stations, newspapers. Talk about fake news. This was fake news because they loved it. It was a great story. And they had spokespeople. And they could claim to debunk something scientifically when it was not science. And I believe it's taken 21 years to come back from that I knew. At the beginning of the 90s, what I was telling my students was I predicted that what was going to happen in the next decade, which was the next century, which would have been 2000, was that more women were going to be found to be the abusers. That's the trajectory that I thought we were on. That it's like, yeah, we're seeing that men are doing this, and the hard thing for anybody to believe is that a woman is capable of abusing her own son or daughter. And yet I have had clients who were abused by their mothers. I know that mothers are abusers too. And that's what I thought was going to happen. That's what, I thought we were going this trajectory where, wow, they're being believed and we're making progress and more survivors are going to be healed. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa. Because just think about it. If you were a therapist, what were you afraid of? Being sued, losing in court, losing your license for bringing up, implanting false memories into your clients and patients and making them believe that these nice, upstanding people would do something so horrific. But the truth is, nice people do horrific things. Like I'm saying, who's your hero? Have you heard any stories about your hero? What's it like when you do? Do you give them a pass? Are they really important to your favorite team? Would the team not do as well if they were kicked off? Is it worth it? Is it worth just giving them a pass and letting them throw the football, pass the ball, hit the ball, catch, pitch, whatever that they do, that they star in? Is it okay if they just, diddle someone a little bit on the side, or maybe they didn't? Oh, the poor boys. Their whole lives are going to be ruined. And I know that just recently in the news, it came out that there was false allegations and some boys' lives were ruined. But why is it so much easier for people to side with the poor boy? Like, remember the guy whose son was seen dropping off a naked girl or something on the side of a dumpster? He was caught red-handed. He did it. And that what his father said to him, are you going to ruin his life for 15 minutes of fun? Fun? And then it just makes me have to think, what is fun about this? And Rose McGowan calls Harvey Weinstein a monster. And Rachel also calls Larry Nassar a monster. Isn't it interesting? Two people never knew each other, same word that they began to call their abuser, rapist, because they set up whole organizations around themselves. Supposedly Harvey Weinstein had these like tents or something. I didn't get the exact picture, but she's going to be on Nightline tonight talking about it, and she has a book called Brave that you can read. And he would set up people to find him someone to rape during every movie. And of course, Larry had just, they say he probably had thousands, only 156 of them testified. But supposedly there were thousands of victims because he put himself in a position where they came to him. Next, just like Jerry Sandusky, boys, he made a camp. He had a camp for boys. So they create the situation where they get their victims. And now at the Super Bowls, there are people ordering children. And so I don't know, I can't say for sure what they're doing, whether they're bringing them, from town to town, whether they're kidnapping them, the ones that have been ordered, whether I don't know how they get them, but it's awful. And so, okay, I think I'm the first person to say this, to literally stick it out there for people to hear, but I have to. Why do women, or should we say, why do men want women to have, and I can't even remember what they're called, French, not manicures, what do they call it? When you get shaved or waxed down there? What does a woman look like without pubic hair? She looks like a girl. Why do men want women to look like little girls? Why do men want little girls or boys? I'm the type of person that likes to figure it out. I asked my boyfriend, he says he has no idea. His mind doesn't go there. He can't, he does not have an answer. I was like, you're a guy, tell me. Why would a guy want a little girl? Why, So, okay, so I have to come to what I would say if I were teaching for instance, how I have come to understand S&M, B&D, 50 Shades. It really made a shift for me, too, when I got this. Because I used to judge it. And then I heard the word imprinted. That your first sexual experience becomes imprinted. And in order to get excited, get off, you want to go back to what it was like the first time. And for some people, I hate to say, the first time was horrendous. They were being whipped. They were being tied up. They were being whatever. And so now in the S&M, B&D communities, bondage and discipline, they create scenes where they ask people to do what consensually they want someone to do for them to be able to get excited. And it gave me an idea of, okay, I understand now that a lot of people into that have been sexually abused. They've been imprinted with this kind of desire. They can't help it. And now consensually, they're experiencing it. So the only thing I can think of for boys who grow into men who want little girls is that maybe their first sexual experience was with a little girl, and that's, maybe they were young, maybe they were a little boy. I don't know. That's all I can think of. That's how I'm trying to give them a pass and say, okay, maybe that's how they got imprinted. I don't get it. I just can't I can't understand it. But I also can't understand why women want to look like little girls. And the term I always hear for it is it's so clean, and that having hair is dirty. But that's not true. There is no dirt in pubic hairs. It's maturity. It grows. It happens. This is what happens as you get older. Do you also want to, cut off your breast because that's what happens? It doesn't make any sense. There is no such thing as clean and dirty. And I feel like I want to start, like, as I remember, and I did not, go back and study and make sure I'm saying it right. But I think, and I see somebody from my high school English class on with me, I think we read Antigone, the Greek tragedy, about women who stop having sex with their men in order to stop war. They come up with that idea that, hey, our guys are like really into killing each other, but I wonder which they like more, killing each other or having sex. And if we refuse to have sex with them until they stop war, I bet they will. So the only way that why can't I think of what it's called? It's not a French manicure. It's something French. We could put those places out of business if women would just stop getting them. And if men ask for them, tell them no. I mean, why go through that? And why perpetuate the idea of bare skin down there, which only happens naturally until a girl matures into puberty? So why look like a prepubescent girl for your boyfriend or husband? We can stop it if we don't let them get away with this desire anymore. So that's my rant. That's my idea. And I just don't see why women are buying into that. And I don't know why men want little girls and boys. But it's huge. It is huge. And I don't know why men need to rape women, except that, and Rose McGowan made a little joke about, oh yeah, when I was in that room with Harvey Weinstein, I was so attracted to him, I just couldn't keep my hands off of him. It was supposedly consensual. That's what he claims. And he's ugly, okay? There's a lot of these guys who are ugly, and just look, put them all up, in a line and look at the way that the guys look, most of them who are being accused. Some of them are so cute, they can have anyone they want, and, they might just take it because they can. But I don't know. I don't get it, but we don't have to perpetuate it, okay? That's what I can say right now. And please don't shame women by saying, why did you take the money? Why did you go to his room? Why did you wear that? Why were you out after dark? Why were you at a bar? Why were you wearing a low-cut shirt? We can't shame women. Just like I have to teach my clients who were abused as children that they cannot blame themselves for sitting on someone's lap. Little kids sit on laps. That's what they do. And adults have appropriate boundaries. I can't believe this. Every week I go to talk and there's somebody else who has just come out with a book or, her testimony. So I'm going to keep talking about it as long as this is still in the news, and I'm going to help to create the solution and stop women, especially, from shaming each other. We have to believe, we have to stand together. Thanks for watching. At least you, Peter. Glad to have you here. Bye. See you next week. Oh, and I'll be with Nancy. We Mentor Mondays with Nancy. Will be on with me from Minneapolis, I guess, right after the Super Bowl was there. Maybe we'll talk about that. All right. See ya. Thanks for watching. Bye. Please share.